Welcome to Influence Matters, the show where I talk with experts, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are turning their story into impact and their expertise into influence. I am Clara Rose, and I am your host today. Today, I am talking with a special guest who's done some pretty amazing things. Let me just tell you about Josh. He's a two-time founder, CEO of a couple of different businesses, and now he's a business coach who specializes in lead generation and scaling systems specifically for companies in the education space. So, very niche. Josh has started, built to scale, and then sold two companies in the education space over the last 2 decades. His EdSales Elevation Experience is a 12-week lead generation course for companies in education, and it has graduated 223 companies in its first 2 years. So, wow, is all that I can say there. But there's more. He has been a featured speaker at Start Ed, UPenn's Graduate School of Education, and a judge for the Milken Penn GSE Education Business Plan Competition. So I want to ask about that. That's interesting. Let's see, what else is he? It's huge. I have this huge bio that I could read about him. Before starting his companies, he earned a master's degree in broadcast journalism from Northwestern's Mid-Hill School of Journalism and an undergrad degree in print journalism from American University. And he served as a sports anchor for an ABC TV station and an integral part of NFL's Washington Commanders broadcast team. So, completely, I'm overwhelmed by this amazing man. Please help me welcome Josh Chernikoff. Did I say that right, Josh? Chernikoff.
Yeah, you did. I've been called worse. Not today, but I've been called worse, I think.
Oh, did I butcher it? Chernikoff.
No, you did. You,
Right?
you nailed it. You nailed it. You totally nailed
Good.
it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So I didn't even get through all of your bio because it was so long, but it's clear that you are highly accomplished. But what my audience really wants to know is, what do you really do? What is it that you do in the world?
That's a great question. It really is. I just finished working with our cohort. It's our 13th cohort and these are education company founders and CEOs. And in this last moment, I was helping one founder make a decision to try and reach museums and help museums with their learning. And she's worried about doing it because she's been successful selling to parents through her college coaching business. And now she wants to work with museums. And now's the time to try. And so I think I gave her, hopefully, the confidence and the clarity in her messaging to give that a try and to at least give it her best shot. And so hopefully I'm helping people who are in the education space, starting businesses or running businesses, get more clarity, get more traction, and get more confidence, and therefore achieving their dreams.
I love that. So it's not just about, working with corporations or companies. You're actually working with individuals who are crafting their message for the world, right? They're shaping their own future and their own destiny with your program. Now, I know because we've talked about this previously already, but you have the course, which I read in your bio, but then you also have the private coaching beyond the course, correct?
Yeah, and I do the private coaching, but I'm getting to a point where I'm beginning to really believe that while private coaching is great, being in those groups is really the most helpful for my clients because they get to see other people who are building. And when they see other people, yes, they look around the room. We have 10 companies, 2 people per company maximum. And yes, they see a lot of startups, but there are also a lot of companies that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars in the education space who haven't figured out how to get leads on repeat. So the you can really draw a very straight line between startups and companies that have been around for a while in the education space, and they have not figured out how to get leads on repeat, because there are so many stakeholders in the education space, and there are so many offerings that you can make, and there's so many different types of schools in different types of places, that selling is very tough. And I believe in the power of one. And so I believe in the power of one client, one message, one offer, at least to get some really great traction. And that's a challenging thing for people in the education space, and I would imagine in other industries, because you are shaving off large chunks of your addressable market when you focus on one type of client, when you focus on one type of messaging. And I was actually thinking about you in this previous session, because this particular client, we leverage LinkedIn, and I said, go ahead, give it a try, reach out to these museums, change your headline, change your banner, change your about section. I said, it's not like you're writing a book. A book takes time, and you have to birth that thing. And I'm not saying go haphazardly into LinkedIn and create these assets, your banner, your headline, your about section, but put them up, start reaching out to people, see if it resonates, and go from there. Again, you're not writing a book. You need a professional like you to write a book.
That's it. That's so true. You're not writing a book on LinkedIn, right? Get in there and try it out. I love your perspective on the whole group thing, because that's something that I really believe is valuable for anybody, right? Any industry. It's super valuable in my industry. Any of the people that I've worked with, there's value in it because, like you said, you see other people, right, on the same path, the same journey, and then it makes you have more belief, right? That's what it really is. Like, hey, why not me? Right? They're doing
Yeah.
it. Why not me? So I love that you've
And it's
created
belief.
community around it.
Totally. And sorry to interrupt, it's belief
No.
up and down. It's belief when you can look at somebody who might just be getting started and say, I've been there, and look where I am today. And it's belief when you look at people who are further along and say, well, they've gotten there. I'm going to use them as a North Star and learn from
Right.
them and ask them questions about how they got there. So it really cuts both ways.
Absolutely. Plus it's a great resource, right? I'm constantly, every group that I'm in, I see somebody or hear somebody say something, or see a tool they're using or something they're doing. I'm like, oh, that's good, right? I got to write that. I got to jot that one down. I'm always learning from other entrepreneurs, experts, professionals, how they're succeeding, the tools they're using. So it's not even intentional. It's just that you're in the same space with other creative people, right? Other people doing whatever their journey is. And so the value is compounded, I think.
That's true. But as entrepreneurs, we can very easily get distracted by shiny objects. So you specifically mentioned tools, like I'm like trying this tool, I'm trying that tool. I've had to
Mhm.
stop trying tools. Although I will say the last tool that our mutual coach recommended, Whisper Flow, has been super helpful to me. Which you install it. I have a Mac here, and so it's installed, and I have one key that I use. It's the bottom left key on my keyboard, and it activates my microphone. And so this allows me to talk my Slack messages out, or to talk with our chat. We call him Walter. So when I'm talking to Walter, I'm talking into a microphone, and the conversations flow better because I'm not having to type. So tools can be a challenge for entrepreneurs like us as shiny objects, but I'm mentioning another one for your audience. Hopefully they'll find Whisper Flow helpful to them.
Yeah. Oh, actually, Whisper Flow is new to me as well, but is a really cool tool. And
Yeah.
yes, I can get easily distracted by the shiny object syndrome because I'm wired that way, right? I'm like, ooh, that's cool. I could do that, or oh, I could do that, right? It's just the way my brain processes. But there are times when you have to just put on the brakes and say, um, okay, no more new tools or platforms until I master some of the ones that I'm working with right now. Like that's what I've done with the Airtable, right? With for Andrew, he's like got this awesome system for Airtable. I'm like, I can't even look at it. It's like all the
Yeah.
AI, I'm overwhelmed. I break out into sweat looking at it. I'm like, okay, not yet,
Yeah.
right? That doesn't work for
You
me.
know,
And it's great to have a mentor, right, who says, "Okay, hold on, you don't have to do that yet," which Andrew said,
he's
"You
such a
don't have to do that yet."
fantastic coach.
Mhm.
He's such a fantastic coach, and I think it's hard sometimes for people to hear. Not hard for them to hear, but surprising for them to hear that I have a coach. And I'll tell you what, and I'll give you something that I experienced with Andrew is we got on a really wonderful coaching call, and he eliminated multiple parts of my Airtable, which helped me to see more clearly how I could leverage Airtable in that moment as a tool. So I think sometimes tools can be a little overwhelming. And again, we're experiencing them through people who might have been using them for many years or who might be more tech savvy. So when Andrew worked with me, which any good coach will do, and kind of, I hate to say this, but like dumbed it down for me or simplified it for me, I was able to use it. And the thing about our minds, whenever I bring something new up to my team, whether it's a tool or a collaboration or an opportunity, I can imagine, much like my family, they roll their eyes, either like roll them in front of me or
Physically.
they're doing it in their head. Yeah, but they are, and they're like, oh, here we go again. But then I also remind them that these crazy ideas, this crazy mind is what puts food on the table, or in
Right?
my family's case, that crazy mind, that
Uh,
crazy belief is what, is how we ended up having one of the most magical nights last November when we were in the north of Iceland. And we rented this place and we saw these most beautiful northern lights.
mm,
And we'll never
mhm,
forget it. But our belief that it's going to work out,
mhm.
our belief of just try that tool, it could be the game changer. It can work both ways, we know.
Yes, double-edged sword it can be, but I run into people all the time at 43 years in business. So for a lot of years, run into people who are afraid to take that leap or afraid to make that next step. Don't have someone in their corner saying, try it out, right? Connect with some people, see if it resonates with them. They don't have somebody cheering them on and saying, go for it, right? And they don't have that innate crazy that I have, and probably you have, that says, I could do that, right? Just, yeah, let's try that. Watch out. Get out of my way. Let me do this kind of thing. Right. So the
Yeah.
value is so significant in having a mentor. We have both have mentors. We mentor others. Having somebody to lead and guide, I think, is super powerful, which is why you have a business, right? You're leading and guiding professionals in a specific industry, right? You're their coach. You're making a
Yeah.
difference.
In a very specific industry, which is something that we
Mhm.
talked about
Mhm.
when we did the pre-interview. And I think it was, you know, shocking is too dramatic of a word, but you really pushed me on the fact that, I do lead generation specifically for companies in education. While I can help companies in other industries, I have really made it known that education is the place that I thrive. I built two businesses, and we always had leads on repeat. And I even had a conversation very recently with Claude that was kind of an aha moment where I was testing Claude. I had used Gemini, I used Chat, and I said to Claude, let's get going. Let's try something. And Claude's like, let's build a market brief. Okay. And I treat AI like a person. And so I said, why don't we write a market brief, Claude, if you don't mind, about coaches in the education space who do lead generation. Claude's like, that's very specific. And I said, yeah, tell me more. And so Claude said, well, and he listed, I guess it's a he, listed all these companies that I know very well, one of them being Start Ed, which you mentioned that I'm a part of. And I said, well, Claude, where does Josh Chernikoff fit into that? Claude said, well, wow. Josh is actually kind of in a little bit of his class of his own because he coaches these companies how they can do lead generation for themselves without buying ads or spending on anything else. And I said to Claude, thank you, that's helpful. And Claude said, are you thinking of competing with Josh? And I said, actually, I am Josh. And Claude's like, wow, this is great. Let's talk more, And so we had this amazing conversation. And yes, it's a unique niche, but because I have niched so far down, I am able to speak very clearly to the clients that I work with and understand their challenges and get them wins very quickly, hopefully within the first 15 minutes of talking to them. So I'm pretty proud of being niche down as far as I am.
So when you first took that leap to hone it, was it scary? Right? Because I have those moments where I'm like, and I've come a long ways because I've been doing this for a long time. But in the beginning, it's like, oh, everybody needs a book. I can help anybody write a book. And then it didn't take me long to figure out that I don't really want to work with novelists, right? It's a different breed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't really want to work in this space. But it was scary to be bringing it into a smaller and smaller, more niche, makes you feel like, I'm excluding potential people. But did you experience that when you were niching down? You're thinking, I'm getting rid of, chopping off too many potentials. Was that scary?
Yeah, totally. And guess what? You are chopping people off. I was on a podcast a couple of years ago, and the host Mark, he asked me a great question, and it's really stuck with me. And we were talking about this idea of window washing. And I talk a lot about this in the education space. And imagine that you are a window washer. You make your living by washing windows. And you're walking down the street, and let's just say you're walking down the street in New York City, and you see two buildings. The one on the left has dirty windows, and the one on the right has clean windows. In the education space, I believe that you need to approach the building that has clean windows. Because that building, those people, that owner of that building, they already value what you do. They love the feeling of a clean window. They love that smell when you spray it on and you make the windows clean. And so when you're trying to get traction, if you approach people who have clean windows and you are a window washer, then they will already value you and you will begin on the same plane. As opposed to trying to convince people with dirty windows of the value of a clean window. So while the decision is scary to focus on one niche, one industry, my conversations go a lot faster and deals close faster because I know who I'm talking to and I know what their challenges are. And I have helped 223 companies, and therefore I have credibility behind me.
That's actually brilliant. I've not heard that analogy before, but that's really brilliant. Because instantly you think, those people who have the dirty windows, they need me, right? I can help them. right? Give them clean
Yeah.
windows. They either don't value clean windows, right? Or
Right.
don't have the resources for clean windows, or right? So that's a
Yeah.
really brilliant approach. I'm trying to figure out how to like use that in my industry. I know you don't work, with people in my industry, but we all want that. We all want lead generation, right? We all need that how to get that continuous flow of leads, not just, in your specific little niche, but we all need that. We all want that, right?
Continuous flow of high converting, high quality, clean window
Yeah.
leads. Anybody can
Clean
get
window leads.
a crap load of crappy leads. The
Right.
way it played itself out for me in my second business was I ran an after school enrichment business, which meant that what we did is we partnered with PTAs and school districts to bring in outside providers, yoga, um, pottery, drawing, soccer. And we brought these programs into the schools. And I thought that I would reach out to schools that didn't have enrichment programs, and we would bring these programs to them. And so I'd reach out to these schools, and they would say, "We can't wait to get started. We have been waiting to build an enrichment program for years. Where's the contract?" Sign that, send that contract over. Built this amazing program over the summer. Open up the registration platforms third week of September. Nobody signed up. And the reason nobody signed up, and you can relate to this as a parent, is that those kids and those families were already going to get yoga at the studio down the street, or they would go to the tennis facility 20 minutes away. So the culture of after school enrichment inside the school wasn't there. And I would have to wait a whole generation of kids for the culture to change. So I needed to pivot my business, and I started approaching schools that had large enrichment programs. That's my clean windows, folks, because those people had problems that I could identify and I could solve. As opposed to the people who didn't have an enrichment program, those schools, they didn't really have problems. They just wanted a program. So that's how the dirty windows versus clean windows really presented itself in my second business. And I think while it was a tough lesson to learn, it was the right one, because we grew that business to 82 schools in 6 states and sold it. But I had to find my clean window, folks. And that took about 18 months.
Ah, that is brilliant. That is brilliant. It's making me rethink my marketing, right? Rethink how I'm thinking about right? Because I help people write a book, but so many people like will come to me saying, "Oh yeah, I want to write a book," right? But they haven't started the process. They haven't thought through what they're going to write about. I mean, there's so many. I think they might be the dirty window people, right?
Mhm.
Right? Maybe the clean window people are people who are already trying, right? Already started that process, right? So it's making me rethink who my clean window people are. That's brilliant.
Cool.
Brilliant, my
Fun.
friend. We're not here to
Fun.
talk about me. We're here to talk about
Yeah,
you.
no.
So we are down to just a few minutes left, but tell me how people can engage with you. Who are the right people, right? If somebody's watching this or listening to this, or like, we are in the education space, I totally need to connect with Josh and find out more about this. Do they need to be a certain person within the organization to reach out to you, or just anybody can say, hey, let's chat? Talk me through that.
Yeah. My clean window folks are ones that, want to generate high quality, high converting leads in the education space, which is a tough place to do that. It's a tough place to sell. Education is a tough place to sell in, because you're not supposed to make money in education, you know.
Mm,
So a lot of times I deal with founders and the VP of sales,
okay.
and I really work with companies anywhere from losing money to making hundreds of millions of dollars, because again, it's not easy to figure out how to generate high converting, high quality leads on repeat, especially in the education space. That being said, if there are people in your audience who this resonates with, I do work in other industries with other people, but I don't advertise it.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. Don't tell anybody.
Secret.
But
Okay.
I don't market it. And the reason I don't is because I don't want to confuse anybody. I don't want to
Mm.
confuse anybody, especially my clean window folks, especially the people I know I can help. I don't want to confuse them thinking, is he going into another industry? So when people reach out to me and they say, hey, does this also work for the e-waste industry or the security industry? Yes, it does, but it's not who I necessarily work with on a daily basis. People can find me at my website, joshchernikoff.com. That's great. I'm also very, very, very active on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a wonderful place to network with people, to coach them, to get to know them. I think of LinkedIn in two different ways. One of them, it's like a gym. You got to go 3 to 5 times a week to get the results you want. That might mean writing a post. That might mean commenting. I also think of LinkedIn as a conference, and it's going on all the time. You have your own stage where you're able to reach people. You have sessions that you can go to, and that's where you can comment. And you also have the hallways, and that's where the DMs take place. And so if you think of LinkedIn in those two different ways, it doesn't feel like a social media platform at that point. Certainly isn't a place like we thought it was where you get a job. It's really a place to build credibility and to help others. So, long story short, you want to find me on LinkedIn or at joshchernikoff.com.
I love that you use LinkedIn. I don't see a lot of people doing that, but it makes perfect sense because you're B2B, right? Your people are there, right? They're probably not hanging out in Facebook, right? Or Instagram or TikTok, or I don't know who's on TikTok. I don't know anything about TikTok,
Yeah,
but LinkedIn
too old for that
has
shit.
always kind of just been different, right? This more professionals hanging out there. I love the idea of thinking of it as a conference and not thinking of it as social media, right? Thinking it's a mindset shift, right? Think about it differently, and you'll interact with it differently. You'll engage with it differently. I love that.
Enjoy
Well, my
it.
friend, we are out of time, but I would just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your crazy busy world to be on the show and share with my audience what you do, how you're making a difference in the world around you. And I just appreciate and value your time so much. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. It was really wonderful. You have a wonderful production staff, and this is all really professional. So, yeah, I feel really honored here, sitting in Washington D.C., getting to have been on this podcast that, as you told me, reaches a lot of different people. So, thank you for having me. I feel honored.
It's totally my pleasure. All right, guys, I just want to take a quick minute to say thank you for being here once again. As always, you show up for whatever reason every week to hear me yammer on and to meet my guests. So I just want to thank you and honor your time as well. If you are indeed interested in crafting your message for the world and building influence for your business, ministry, cause, or brand, specifically with your own book, since you know that is what I do, I invite you to check out my free resources at thesavvyauthors.com. You can find all sorts of free resources there. You can connect with me, get to know me. And then if you are interested in taking the next step, we can talk about working one-on-one on your book project if you are a clean window kind of person. Or we can also talk about the Savvy Author Academy, which is new this year, which gives you that community we talked about today with Josh and how valuable and important that is. All right, my friends, we are out of time, but I will see you next week, same time, same place, with the same amazing production crew bringing me to you. All right, take care, my friends.